I was scared to speak again because of the fear of judgment. So I didn't speak a lot in class. If it was time to give an answer for something, I'm like, nah, I'm cool. Somebody else can answer that because I didn't want to be judged. And a lot of us go through that. But the thing about it is, now that I realize that in my, 40 plus years of living on this earth, I realized that fear was trying to grip me early on in life. So therefore, I wouldn't be able to get this message out of being financially free. So as you're on your journey, you have to think to yourself, like, what am I actually afraid of? Because you'll realize after you do the thing, and we'll get into it, after you do the thing, you realize that it wasn't that bad and you didn't die. Hey, family. This is Che Willis coming back with another episode of Wealth is a Journey podcast. Guys, this is episode 74. 74 weeks of consistency, 74 weeks of putting out good content, good information to get us on the way to these M's. Again, we are getting to the M's. If you are a new listener or watcher of this podcast, thank you so much for joining us. On this podcast, we talk about faith, family, and finances, among other things. And if you are a return listener, watcher, or subscriber, thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully, we are adding more value to your lives on the way to the M's. And again, we are on the way to the M's. Guys, today it's going to be a very special topic for me. And it will be a very special topic for you if you are doing something new, something that you're uncomfortable with. Today, we're going to be talking about dealing with fear. Dealing with fear. Because I believe that on our way, on our wealth building journey or health journey or whatever you consider wealth, because health is wealth as well, right? You are going to have to deal with a level of fear, especially if it's something new that you're trying to attempt. And I think in this game of life, you have to know that you are going to be dealing with an enemy, the enemy of doubt, the enemy of fear, the enemy of you can't do that. And the enemy that you're dealing with is right up here. Um, and a lot of the fear starts out when we're young. For me, it was the fear of judgment. Uh, I talk about it before, like way, way, way early in this podcast about how I was scared to speak publicly because I was scared of judgment. I had a fear of judgment. Now, if I'm with my friends and we snapping on each other, whatever the case may be when I was younger, then that's a whole different story. But I feel like early on, I was attacked mentally because I was scared to speak again because of the fear of judgment. So I didn't speak a lot in class. If it was time to give an answer for something, I'm like, nah, I'm cool. Somebody else can answer that because I didn't want to be judged. And a lot of us go through that. But the thing about it is, now that I realize that in my, 40 plus years of living on this earth, I realized that fear was trying to grip me early on in life. So therefore, I wouldn't be able to get this message out of being financially free. So as you're on your journey, you have to think to yourself, like, what am I actually afraid of? Because you'll realize after you do the thing, and we'll get into it, after you do the thing, you realize that it wasn't that bad and you didn't die. So what got me thinking about this topic of fear, and I think it's very, very important that we deal with it in order for us to get to the other side of this great life that we're trying to live, is every year, for first of all, let me back up. I want to give a shout out to my boy George, Mr. Highlight Films. He introduced me to Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill is my favorite author, hands down, besides my wife and my son. All right, cool. Um, but my favorite author because he talks about mindset, and mindset is so important to dealing with fear. And I'm reading, I think this is probably the third or fourth time I'm reading this book. It's called Outwitting the Devil. Now, you may say to yourself, Outwitting the Devil. That sounds demonic and satanic and all the things. I'm here to tell you it's not. Because if you lived any amount of time on this earth, if you read the book, you will understand the negative energy, which in this book, I'm just give you a little snapshot. In the book, the author talks about how he had an interview with the devil. Now you can believe that or not, but as you read it, you'll realize that maybe he is had a conversation with the devil just because of the way that the enemy or the devil attacks you. He's everywhere, but more so inside with, and it's more so like negative energy. So negative thoughts, fear, doubt, all those things are negative energy. And if you allow those things to rule over your life and allow those thoughts, those feelings to govern your life, then you will always be in a constant state of fear. Now, I read this book every year, at least once a year. And you may say to yourself, like, why are you reading a book that you've read already, or whatever the case may be? Like, think about this. Think about a song that you listen to over and over and over again. And then you're like, oh, I didn't know that artist said that in the song when I listened to it the first time. There's so many nuggets, so many gems in this book specifically. I highly recommend that anybody who's listening to the sound of my voice read the book. And if you read it one time, read it again, or you can listen to it on audio. This is a phenomenal book. But uh, long story short, he has a conversation with the devil. He's interviewing him, and he's asking him how he uh, puts fear and how he controls people who don't even know he exists through thoughts, feelings. Fear is one of the big ones, and I thought it was a very uh, very important topic to talk about because we're on our wealth building journey, and in this wealth building journey, you're going to do new things. One of the things may be invest. Um, the avenue or the vehicle that's going to make your money make you more money. And if you're doing something new, you may mess up and it may put a bad taste in your mouth. And then you'll say to yourself, you know what? I was more comfortable when I didn't have to think about whether, say, the market is going up or down, the stock market, or I was okay when I didn't have to deal with that tenant or the renter, um, or letting a business borrow money so then you can make money on that money that you let them borrow, something of that nature. But everything's not going to always go according to plan. And then when those plans don't come to fruition like you expect them to, you'll get doubts in your mind. Like, maybe I shouldn't have done that. And then you'll go back to doing the comfortable thing, which is nothing. And then years later, you may see somebody else do the same thing that you were doing, but they didn't quit and they're way up. And you're still in that same state that you were many years ago when you started and then you quit.
Are you tired of living paycheck to paycheck? Are you tired of using your credit cards as an emergency fund? Are you tired of getting stressed out anytime you think about money? If the answer to any of those questions is yes, I'm here to help. My name is Che Willis, and I help families living paycheck to paycheck live the life that they want to live through budgeting and investing. And I understand the word budgeting may be scary. However, we're trying to take the fear out of that word. All we're doing is telling our money where to go, as well as reducing our expenses and taking that money, marching it into the marketplace, and making us some money babies. That's all we're doing. So if you need help, please go to wealthisajourney.com. Again, wealthisajourney.com. There are free resources on there for budgeting tools. There are digital products on there to help you on your investing journey. And there's one on one coaching. So if you need help, go to wealthisajourney.com today. I look forward to seeing you soon.
So I'm saying all that to say that uh, in this journey, on your way to the M's, or on your way to just living a nice life, a comfortable life, whatever the case may be, um, you are going to deal with some adversity, but the adversity is going to come from up here. So one of the things that happened to me, and we're going to go over some simple steps. We're going to go over three simple steps. Now, these steps are not um an exhaustive study on how to overcome fear, but these are my steps of how I overcame fear. So but before I get into that, I just want to go into a little quick story. So what could have happened to me is when I first started like investing on my own. I have a 401k with my 9 to 5 job that's doing really well. But the thing is that I started investing on my own as far as like in the stock market. Now, what I didn't know is when I invested the money, how I was going to feel when my account was red. And a lot of the times I would get scared. Let's just say I put 500 bucks in the market. My account, my portfolio was down. Let's just say 50 bucks. I didn't like that feeling. 50 bucks or 100 bucks, I felt like I was losing money. But a seasoned investor or somebody who has been investing for any period of time knows that those may be opportunities for you to buy more. Or um, it's not always going to be like this. Or don't open your account if you know that the market didn't do well that day, because you know if you look at it, the feeling that it's going to make you feel fear, panic, then you're going to make a dumb decision like I did, and you're going to pull the money out instead of just sitting it in there and letting it grow or investing more. So early on in my investing journey, when I was doing it on my own, I panicked. I saw my account red and I pulled the money out. I do not advise you to do that, especially if your plan is to put the money in long term. So one bad day in the market is not going to kill you. Again, it could be an opportunity. So again, what we're going to do now is we're going to go over three easy steps to overcoming fear. Number one, we're going to start small. So for me, you have to address the fear. So start small. Whatever you're trying to do, you got to start small. So for me, it was a fear for me to publicly speak. So in my entrepreneur group, we have an opportunity to speak to, we're reading books all the time, and we have an opportunity to give our share of how, what we took from the book, what we took away from the book. So before, uh, again, fear of judgment, I would not speak at all. I would let everybody else share what they had to say. Even though I had something to say, my hands would get sweaty. My voice would shake. I would get really, really nervous. But what was I really nervous about? Nothing. Because again, uh, once you do the thing, you realize that it wasn't that bad and you didn't die. So what I did was I had to meet it head on, and I just, before I thought about it, I hit the button, I raised my hand. So I started small. started giving my shares. And then I got to the point where giving my shares didn't give me anxiety anymore. So that was the thing that made me comfortable enough to speak. So now I start a podcast 74 weeks ago, but I was comfortable enough to speak because I started small. And now I'm getting opportunities to speak publicly. But let's go back to 74 plus weeks ago. If I hadn't have started, I wouldn't have been able to give information or hope to people who want to be financially free. As an example, hey, I did this. Hey, we did this. This is how we did it. But think about those people that wouldn't have been able to get the information. They might have gotten it somewhere else. I'm not naive to think that, but they wouldn't have got the information from me if I didn't face the fear head on and start small. So what I would encourage you to do is if you're scared to publicly speak, start small. Just start like for me, I did the book shares or whatever the case may be, and it made me comfortable enough to speak. But if it's that for you, or if it's investing for you, start putting money in small, maybe $5, $10 at a time, and then putting that money to work. And as you get comfortable doing the thing, it's going to be easier and easier and easier, and then you can go on a bigger scale. Because for me, I want to be able to speak to thousands of people at a time about how financial freedom is not necessarily that difficult if you put a plan in place and you execute the plan. So that's number one. Start small and face the fear head on. Number two, you have to identify where these negative thoughts are coming from. And is there any evidence of the negative thought? Meaning, um, I my long-term plan was investing for a long period of time, right? And I was thinking to myself when I saw my account read, I don't like this feeling. I need to pull my money out because I'm losing money. First of all, the thought in my head was I'm losing money. But again, a seasoned investor knows that you don't lose money until you pull the money out. So I'm not really losing money. And if I'm a long-term investor, I'm using that opportunity to invest more money, especially if I believe in a company, did my research, did all the things. So where is this thought coming from? There's negative forces out there, knowing that you have a goal, knowing that you have dreams, aspirations, things of that nature to accomplish. And there are negative forces out there that are going to try to stop you from achieving your goal, to keep you mediocre, to keep you in the state that you're in, even though you should be thriving. Or you should be showing your kids how to thrive, how to live their best life, um, uh, how not to make mistakes, and showing them the things that you might have done to bump your head so they don't have to, make those mistakes, whatever the case may be. So you have to address where that thought is coming from, and is it real? That's huge. Um, and if there's no evidence of people judging you, like for me, it was the public speaking thing. If there's no evidence of anybody judging you, if nobody's coming to your face and telling you, yo, you suck at what you're doing and what you're saying, it's not real. The judgment is not real. It's in your head. So you have to recognize that and understand that, and you have to push past it. But you have to do it like for little increments at a time, like I said in step one. So then you'll get comfortable enough to be able to push past the fear. And as you continue to do it, you'll realize that it wasn't real. Those thoughts weren't real. the feelings. They're feelings, they're real, but you could push past those things. Number three, think about who you would be hurting if you stopped. Meaning, a lot of us didn't grow up with the information of budgeting or investing. We grew up, hey, put your money in the bank, save your money, not about deploying funds into the market or deploying funds into an investment vehicle that's going to make you more money. The thought is to just save money. But now that you have this information of investing, now that you have this information of, hey, maybe that thought was just in my head and it's not real. Let me push past it. Think about if you stop whatever you're trying to do, who you're going to hurt. Number one, you're going to hurt yourself. Number two, you're going to hurt the people in your immediate family that live with you in your house. Number three, you're going to also hurt your family members who live outside of your house, and then it's going to spread to your community. So think about if let's just say Steve Jobs, I'm team iPhone. If you're an Android user, I'm sorry for you. Just it's crazy. Anyway, my thing is that if he had stopped because he faced any difficulties or self-doubt or fears or anything of that nature, think about where we would be as a society if we didn't have these smartphones, these iPhones that are game changers. Like all the things that we can do, we can send emails, we can blow pictures up, we can take good pictures and do all the things if he had stopped. But for you, if you want to invest or if you want to make yourself better financially, put yourself and your family in a better financial situation, and then you start, you face some difficulties, you face some adversities, and then the doubt starts creeping in your head, and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and stop because it was more comfortable for me where I was. What you don't know is that a week or two, or maybe three, or maybe a month from now of you pushing past that, then you'll be in a better place. You'll be in a better headspace because you didn't stop and you kept going. So if my wife and I um we didn't invest early, we didn't get our budget together, we didn't put our monies together, we didn't work together as a unit, then my son, and I mentioned before a long time ago on the podcast that he's going to be able to go to college with no debt. His college fund is fully funded at this point in time. He's not even he's 13 now. He's 13 now. He just turned 13. And just think about what place that's going to put him in not to have college debt when he's out of college. Like just not to have that burden because his parents pushed past the fear of putting their money together. Like we didn't in the very beginning, like when we first got married, we didn't have our money together. But we pushed past the fear, we put our money together 10 years into our marriage, and now everything's good. We paid off things. We bought nice things. We're putting our son through college with no debt. Like we're doing a lot of these things because we pushed past the fear. And I'm not saying that you're not going to have to ignore the feelings. Like their feelings are real. We understand that. But what do you want? What does the other side look like for you? And that's what you need to focus on. And if you can do all three of these things, your life is going to look so different. If you start small, identify the fear. If you, number two, um, where is these thoughts and feelings coming from? And then number three, understand who it's going to hurt if you stop doing the thing that's supposed to be making your life better. If you can do all three of these things, or at least start with these three things, then your life is going to be so much better. I'm telling you, and I'm only telling you from experience. There are so many different situations that my wife and I went through that could have deterred us and derailed us from where we are today. And we're not done. We have so much more things to do, so much more living to do, impact on this world to make. So if we had stopped, or if I had stopped at episode 3 or 4 or 5, I wouldn't be able to get these opportunities to help impact people's lives, because that's what we're doing. We're impacting lives. So as I was reading this book, I thought about all the people who may not have the opportunity to read this book, um, and what a game changer it has been for me. Besides the fear part, there's so many other identifiable things in this book that if you had not read the book before, you will be able to identify with a lot of things that are in this book. And it'll hopefully help you save a lot of heartache and headache because of the things that are in this book. So, again, I would encourage you to read the book. Um, but I thought about all the things that are in it and all the gems and nuggets that I got, and it's helped me tremendously. So again, George, shout out to you, bro. Thank you so much for recommending the book, because it has definitely been a game changer. So I recommend it to anybody who is trying to live a better life, because it's going to it's going to like pull the wool from over your eyes, and you're going to be able to see clearly about how the enemy operates. So again, we are on the way to the M's, and the information that you get from this podcast is going to give you little tips, tricks, nuggets that's going to help you get there faster. If you can learn from something that I did wrong, let's go. It's go time. So thank you so much for tuning in to Wealth is a Journey podcast. We will see you next week.